Welcome back to once again, dear students. Very welcome to in this third series. So actually, we have already covered two lectures on the topic of SYBA VSC course for SYBA students. The title of this course is Essential Skills for Literary Appreciation. English Special Students SYBA VSC course. Okay, VSC. The paper title is a VSC. Okay. Before start the video, now I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Professor Deepak Kokani. I'm Department of English, Pratap College, Ammaler, where I work as an assistant professor, where I teaching graduation and undergraduation students. Okay, so without waste our times, we are going to move ahead one slide by slide. I make some slide and we just move to slide by slide. So what is the importance to this topic? Okay, so let's start right now. So dear students, today's very significant and important topic is that point of view, focalizations and narrative voice in literature. So what is the point of view? So what is the focalizations? What is the narrative voice in prose? Okay, dear students, here is the introduction. In the prose fiction, who tells the story, who pursue it, and how it is told are fundamental to understanding meaning. These are studies under three concepts. These are under the three concepts such as point of view. So what is the point of view? The point of view is who narrate the story. In the story, who is the narrator? Okay, this is called point of view, dear students. Okay, in the story there is a lots of characters also, but who is the main narrate the story? It's called point of view. Okay, the point of view is who narrate the story. So then what is the focalization? The focalization is who pursues or experiences the events. Means exactly who pursue, which means who is the experiences phenomena, experiences events, okay, incidents in the story. And what is the narrative wise? The narrative wise is nothing but how is the story told. So how is the story told, which is the tone, style and personality of the narrator. Okay, so this is how the point of view, focalizations and narrative voice which we describe here. Okay, so then practical criticism analyzes these internally without laying, okay, on the author's biography or historical context. They directly shape, okay, reader engagement. So dear students, the point of view, focalization, narrative wise, the directly shape reader engagement. Then interpretations of characters and events. So how the interpretation of the characters, okay, and events, emotional, moral and thematic understanding also there. Okay, this is how they create this emotional, moral and thematic understanding. Okay, here is a very important point is the first, that is the point of view. Okay, as I told you, what is the point of view, what is the focalization, so what is the narrative voice, but in the detail we just go ahead. So what is the point of view? So definition. So this is the definition of the point of view. So what is the definition? I just read. Point of view refers to the narrator's position. So here is also refers to the narrator position. So what is the position of the narrator? Narrator's positions in the relation to the story and characters. It's a relation to the story and characters. It's answer who is telling the story. So who is telling the story? It's called point of view. Okay, who is telling the story? In the story, there is a lots of story, but who is exactly telling the story? A narrator who narrate the story. This is called point of view. Okay, the choice of point of view. Okay, P-O, okay, V. This is the shortcut, but it's a full form point of view. Okay, the choice of point of view governs assess the character's thought and emotions. The point of view also assess the character's thoughts, emotions, his feeling. Okay. Narrative reliability. So what is the narrative reliability also there? So what is exactly narrative reliability? Okay. Emotional alignment of readers. So what is the emotional alignment of readers? Okay. Scope of knowledge limited or all knowing. Okay, so this is the how the scope of knowledge also limited or all knowing. So this is also a definition of the point of view. The choice of point of view governs. Okay, so next, in the point of view also, the persons there's the first person, third person, limited, the third person, omniscient. Okay, so these are things so which we are going to in the detail. Okay, the first person point of view. So what is the first person point of view in the story? Okay, the definition: the narrator is a character in the story speaking as a I or we. Okay, in the story where a narrator, okay, speaking I, myself, we, okay, we all. So this is the first person, and where they use the first person I, we. So it's was the first person point of view. So what is the characteristic? So what is the features of the first person point of view? The first is highly subjective and personal. So where is also the character is a personal only. So highly subjective and personal. Then next characteristic offers intimate access to narrator's thought, feeling and experiences. So also intimate the narrative's thoughts, feelings, emotions, okay, and experiences. Knowledge is limited to what the narrator sees or knows. Here is the knowledge is limited. Okay, because why the narrator is sees and knows. The third characteristic is that the knowledge is limited to what the narrator sees or knows. Then the next characteristic can be reliable or unreliable. Sometimes can be reliable also, and sometimes can be unreliable also. Okay. Subtypes of person narrators. So what are the subtypes of first person narrators? The first point is that protagonist narrator. So what is the protagonist narrator? Here is the main characters narrators their own story. So the sometimes the narrator his write his own story, his own reflection, his own all these things. So this is called the protagonist, which means main hero in this story. The narrator, protagonist narrator, the main character narrates their own story. Example: Holden's Claffield and the clatter in the rye. Okay, this is the one of the best example. Focuses on personal experience and psychological insight. They also focus on that the personal experience. So what is the personal experience and psychological insight? Then subtypes of point of view. The next type, witness narrator. So what is a witness narrator? Secondary characters narrate about the protagonist. Okay, the second characters also narrate about the protagonist. So witness narrator he also narrate about the protagonist. Okay, example: Dr. Watson in the Sherlock Holmes. Okay, then offers an external perspective while still subjective. Okay, there is retrospective. Okay, retrospective narrator. So what is a retrospective narrator? Narrators events from a later time, often reflecting on past experiences. So retrospective narratives also often that is on the past experiences. Okay, example: Nick Grave and the Great Gatsby. Okay, combines memory, reflection, and narrative distance. So this is how the some subtypes of the first person point of view. Okay, in the next, in this slide, the third person point of view. So what is the third person point of view? Which we cover the first person point of view, and their subtypes also we discuss. But now we are going to the third person point of view. So what is the third person point of view? Here is the definition: the narrator is outside. The narrator is outside the story. Okay, the narrator is outside the story and referring to characters as he, she, they. Okay, So when the referring the character, the narrator is outside the story, and when the narrator is referring the he, she, they, so this is called the third person point of view. Okay. The types. So what are the third person point of view types? The first is omniscient third person. Okay. So what is the omniscient? Narrator knows everything in the story. What happening? So narrator knows everything in the story. Okay. Narrator knows everything. All character thoughts, past, present, and sometimes future events also. Okay. He can also interpret predictions. So who is the character, who is the main character, what they are thinking, why they are thinking. So all these things, the omniscient third person characters, the third person also know everything about that. So such as the all character thought, his all character thoughts, the thoughts maybe in past, thoughts maybe in future, thought maybe in present also. Okay, this is called omniscient third person. So third person can provide authorial commentary or moral reflection. So omniscient third person character also can provide authorial commentary. Authorial commentary also provide and or moral reflection also. Often referred as a God's eyes view. Okay, omniscient third person point of view character, third person point of view also just like the God's eyes. Okay, we can say that the God's eyes view. Okay, means he can see the everything. Okay, omniscient. Why we call the omniscient? Because omniscient, which means he know everything about that around us. He know everything about in the story. So what is happening, what will happen, and what did happen. Okay, all these things he know about the story. Okay, example: War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. So War and Peace. So this is the very one of the best example of omniscient third person. Okay, where is also used the third person omniscient, the point of view. Okay, limited third person. So what is the limited third person? Narrator focuses on one or few characters' inner experiences while others are seen, okay, internally. So also there is also some limited narrators' inner experiences while others are seen extremely. Narrator focuses on only one or two at least characters. Where is the focus on inner? Okay, inner transformation, inner experiences. Okay, then is a combined objectivity of third person with the psychological intimacy. So this is called psychological intimacy. Okay, limited characters. Example: Harry Potter series. So if you watch the Harry Potter series, where you can also learn limited characters such as the Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a limited characters and also focus on Harry Potter, one character, which means the third person limited characters. Okay, example: Harry Potter series, mostly through Harry Potter's perspective. So sometimes used Harry Potter's perspective in this limited third person, okay, point of view. Okay, so what is the focalization, dear students? So focalization, here is a definition of the focalization. So we have to read that. Focalization refers to who perceive events, means events म्हणजे कोण पाहतो, events कोण पाहतो, कोण experience करतो. Okay, focalization refers to who perceives events independence of who narrate them. Okay, who narrate them, introduced by Janetti. Okay, Janetti, who firstly introduced this is focalization term. Okay, this is also very famous figure, and during that time he did lot of works. Okay, it's different years perspective from narration. So this is very different from the narrations. Okay, actually focalization is very different from the narration. So here is some difference things. So what is the point of view? Who speak? The point of view also who speak. What is the focalization? Focalization who sees, which means focalization who sees, कोण पाहतो, who perceive. Okay, who perceive. And types of focalization. So what is the type of focalization? The first type of focalization is zero focalization, which means omniscient, which we have covered already in the previous slide. Okay, Zero focalization, omniscient. Narrator knows more than any characters. So when the narrator more than any characters, uh, okay, typical in third persons omniscient narratives. Also typical third person omniscient narrative. So what is the internal focalization? So we have covered zero focalization. So zero focalization is nothing but narrator knows more than one character, and internal focalization story filtered through a character consciousness. So internal focalization means story filtered through the character consciousness, fixate one character or variable different characters at different times also. Okay, common in first persons and limited third person narratives. So common in first person and limited third person is narrative. Oh, okay, another type of focalization, external focalization. So we cover zero focalization, then cover internal focalization, and then cover we external focalization. So what is the external focalization? Narrator observe only external action. So when the narrator who observe external actions, so it's known as the external focalization. So no access to inner thought or feeling, no access any inner thought, okay, feelings, objective or camera eyes narrator. So objective is also such as the lens, just like lens, camera, objectives. Okay, the camera objective or camera eye narrative. So camera eye narrative also external focalization. So this is the we covered just focalization. The focalization who perceives events. Focalization is nothing but who sees events. Okay, the we cover types of focalization: zero focalization, omniscient. Then we cover internal focalization. Then we cover external focalization. So this is how the focalization to very make the role in the story. Okay. So in this slide we are just understand so what is exactly narrative voice, dear student. So students, here is a very important definition of the narrative voice. So definition. So what is the definition of the narrative voice? Narrative voice is the distinctive style, tone, and personality of the narrator. Its answer. Okay. So this is the what is the style? So which type of style of narrator? Okay. What is the tone of narrator? Serious, humorous, very badly. Okay. What is the personality of the narrator? Okay. Of the narrator. And its answer. So what is the answer? How is the story told? So how is the story told? Which means the story told seriously, story is told very happily. Okay, so how is the story is told? So this is called the narrative voice. What is his voice? What is his tone? What is his style? Which type of style he used? So how is the story told? It's called narrative voice. So what are the components of the narrative voice? The first component, tone, as I told you. The narrative voice also component, tone. So story also serious, ironic, humorous, okay, humorous, formal, okay, conversational. So this is the tone. Then what is the style of the narrative voice? Style of the narrative voice is sentence structure, vocabulary, okay, narrative rhythm also there. Then what is the reliability of the third components of the narrative voice is reliability. Reliable, what is the reliable, unreliable, and ambiguous? So these are things which is very important for the narrative voice. So what is the attitude? The next component of the narrative voice. So what is the attitude? So attitude, sympathetic, critical, neutral, or judgmental. So what is his attitude towards the story, all these things? So what is his attitude? Sometimes his attitude is sympathetic, okay, critical also, attitude also, neutral also, sometimes neutral also, and or judgmental. So type of narrative voice. So what is the types of narrative voice? As we discuss the types of focalization, okay, zero focalization, internal focalization, and external focalization. As the same way, the types of narrative voice. The first type of narrative voice is that reliable voice. So reliable voice, consistent and trustworthy. So this is how reliable voice. Reliable voice also consistent and trustworthy. Then unreliable. Unreliable, which means we can say that vishwasniyata. Okay, vishwas. Unreliable means not vishwas. We can say that unreliable voice, bias, okay, deceptive or limited. Okay, example, Humbert in Lolita. Okay, this is the one of the best example. Okay, then objective voice. So what is the objective voice of the narrative voice? Okay, the types of narrative voice, objective voice. Okay, detached and neutral. Then what is the subjective voice? The subjective voice also emotionally engaged and personal. So this is how we cover that is the narrative voice. So what is the definition of the narrative? So narrative voice is the distinct style, tone, and personality of the narrators. And how is the story told? It's called the narrative voice. The components of narrative voice which we have discussed: the tone, style, reliability, attitude. These are the types also: reliability voice, unreliable voice, objective voice, and subjective voice, dear students. Okay, in the next slide we will see another important point. Okay, so in this slide we are just understand you what we have covered. Okay, just revise. This is the another slide also cover the revision slide. Okay, so this is called very important interrelationship of point of view, focalization, and narrative voice. So what is the interrelationship? Okay, point of view, focalization, and narrative voice. The concept is point of view. The first we are going to just understand. So what is the point of view? The concept is point of view. The point of view focus on who narrate the story. That is the you have to focus that point of view. Okay, so what is the effect of the point of view? Determines scope of knowledge. So only focus on determines scope of knowledge. So what is the focalization? The concept is focalization. What is the focus on? So where is the focalization focused on? The focus on who perceives, who sees the story. Okay, who sees the story, who experiences the story. Okay, an effect. What is the effect? Okay, shapes perception. Okay, suspense and empathy. Suspense, which means what will happen in the which is very doubtfully, and which is very full with the experience. So what will happen in the future, in the next? So this is suspense. Okay, narrative wise. So what is narrative wise? So where the narrative focus on how it is told, So here is a question mark, but sorry for that. Okay, I did mistake. Narrative wise, create. The effect is create tone, style, reliability, and moral effect. So this is how we cover interrelationship of point of view, focalizations, and narrative voice. So I hope you are all getting my point. Okay. In the next slide, these are some examples of the. This is called narrative strategy. The first person, third person omniscient, third person limited, internal focalization, external focalization, and unreliable narrative voice. Okay, the narrative strategy, the first person example, the cattle in the rye. Okay, notes, intimate, subjective, limited perspective. The third person omniscient, war and peace. This is the one of the best example. Okay, then notes, god-like perspective, multi-character insight. Okay, the third person omniscient, as I told you, just like god eyes. Okay, god-like perspective, multi-character insight. Third person limited, Harry Potter, one of the best example. The third person limited example. Notes, what is the focus on one character experiences, just like Harry Potter, who is the one character and his own experiences. Okay, internal focalization, to the lighthouse, To the lighthouse, this is the one of the best example of the internal focalization. So to the lighthouse, multiple character consciousness explored. Where is the multiple character consciousness explored? Okay, external focalization. Example: hills like white, okay, elephant, and notes that only actions visible. Here is the only action visible. No thoughts revealed. There is a no thought revealed. Okay, there is unreliable narrative voice. Lolita, this is the one of the best example. Okay, so dear student, you have to find who these who wrote these stories. Okay, you have to find that who wrote these all. Okay, you have to find that. I just take the I just took the example for you. Okay, but you have to do very much in the detail. Okay, you have to read that. Unreliable narrative voice. The example of Lolita. Okay, Lolita. Then his notes. Okay, distorts truth to the manipulate reader perspective. Okay, so this is how we cover today. Very three points important. The point number one, the point of view. The second point, focalization. The third point, narrative wise. So this is how we cover very prominent and important point. Okay, so what is the importance in the practical criticism? Okay, what is the importance in the practical criticism? Point of view, focalization, and narrative wise. Essential for close reading of prose. So it is very essential for close reading of prose. Helps identify narrative, technique, and strategies also. Okay, explain reader alignment, emotional response, and suspense. Provide insight into theme and moral perspective. Okay, different years, fictions, narrative. Okay, artistry from the simple storytelling. So these are the very important importance of the practical importance in the practical criticism. So this is how today we cover very important point, dear students. So once again, very thank you so much to listening me. You are always supporting me. So we will see remaining topic in the next series, the series number 4. So thank you so much once again. Very thank yous to all.